Lovestruck is for the sort of the time-poor professional seeking love with additional
realistic expectations.
I like that. Realistic expectations. So that's a crucial detail.
A dating site should never promise you love. It's a fallacy.
I've got you. Okay. And Dave, Badoo, not necessarily dating, but.
Yeah, so Badoo, I don't know if most people know about Badoo, is when I was asked to go join them, I hadn't a clue actually. And Badoo is actually the world's largest dating platform, social discovery platform. So we like to say, so depending on where we're at, but essentially it's about meeting new people. 9 out of 10 people who join Badoo actually say they're here to make new friends, and what they do after they meet up then is up to them. We're on 239 countries. And it's massive. It's 44 languages. It's a $200 million business, and it's doing really, really well. And it's a really interesting space. And I think, particularly the topics we're going to be talking about tonight, from a data point of view, and actually increasing relevancy. We've got so many users on our platform. The opportunity we have to try and harness that is huge. It's really interesting. Very, very difficult though.
And Robyn, you're taking a slightly different approach on this.
One country, one language. So not quite the same scale. We're as a startup dating product, which we describe as the first dating product built for women. So from the ground up, everything has been built and optimized really for women. It's a lesbian dating app, but we also have curious or bisexual women on it, but it's a female-only community.
And how does that kind of, how have you found that as a sort of a play? So there was an interesting Telegraph article that came out recently.
So I definitely started it because there were no good lesbian products. Like any gay girls out there may have used some of the ones that existed, and they were terrible. Like they would ask you how much body hair you had on your profile because it was a reskin of a gay male app, and you were like, seriously? Are you asking if I've had a wax? What is going on here? And then you had lots of fake accounts, lots of guys coming through it. You just didn't, it looked bad and you didn't really trust the platform. So that was kind of why I set it up in the first place. We then started running a private beta and learned quite quickly that things weren't really working. We just copied what a lot of other dating products were doing and ran it, and it bad interactions, the girls weren't talking to each other, the conversation quality was really poor. And so we kind of scrapped everything and went back to what they actually want to use. If we were designing it from the ground up, exactly what a woman would want to see in a profile, what would make her send a message, and we built that from scratch.
I mean, it's a bit of, you are calling a sort of difficult ground, really, because obviously lesbian women are very attractive to men.
Yeah.
Which is, I imagine, quite frustrating.
It's the 3rd highest search term on Pornhub. Yeah.
Interesting. If only they fully realised themselves, perhaps that would stop happening. And so, how have you been sort of combating this problem of men arriving?
So when I first started not knowing as much about product that I do now, we used to have 9 stages in the sign-up process, which for a startup is a really bad idea. But we did loads of things. So we did get phone calls, Skype calls, Facebook verification. We used third-party services to build a social graph of people based on their email address, of other things we could find out about them. Now we just use Facebook because it's the most efficient and scalable thing to do. If we have a transgender user, then they're welcome to email us and we'll have a phone call or a Skype call with them to verify them and bring them on. But we use Facebook to check about 6 or 7 calls against someone's profile to check that they're not just female, that they're actually real. So we get fake Facebook accounts set up the whole time of people that like Dattch and lesbian and bi girlies of London, and they've had the account for 2 weeks, and they're called Sammy, and Sammy wants to get busy, and we're like, not here. So yeah, that's how we do it.
Awesome. And so Dave, obviously, you've got this gigantic pool of people. How, are you doing anything about sort of separating up the sort of demographics? Do you have a nice sort of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender section? Do you have do you have all these sorts of different options?
Yeah, of course, yeah. So, for Badoo, you can go in there and you can actually classify yourself as gay, lesbian, bisexual, and straight. So, and we've got quite a large community there. I think it's about, say, 7% of our users, which is kind of, depending on what city you're in, is not too far from where things are at. I mean, I think the good thing about Badoo is because you've got that scale of numbers, it typically reflects society. And so the makeup of what we have actually at Badoo is really, really interesting, and is a mirror of what you have offline. So it's quite interesting.
Do you have to go through any of this sort of, I mean, are you doing sort of Skype phone calls with every single user, identifying whether or not they actually are gay or are male, or do you not care?
No, we don't go that far, but we do have, it's not a very well known fact, but we got 2,500 moderators that actually moderate 7 million photos manually every single day in Badoo.
And without being too crude, what are you trying to look for? Or
Well,
not
anything
find?
that's obviously illegal. And so the way Badoo works as well, so you've got public folders, you've got private folders, and so obviously certain content needs to go into private folders. Certain people try to put that in their public folders, you don't want that in there, so that gets moderated across. Actually, having said that though, only I think it's 0.5% of all photos that get put into Badoo are of an erotic nature, and so not as much as you'd expect, but still of course we need to make sure that we're catching that, and of course, like I say, anything that's dodgy, illegal, we work with law enforcement on that front as well. So a massive team doing quite a laborious job of 7 million photos every day.
Do they have any sort of counselling for seeing so much penises?
I've not actually met these poor guys, but it's a very good question. I'm loving where this is going. I've not. The thing is, so we don't actually have them actually doing this for very, very long, and we move them around doing different things as well. So, but I'm sure they have a very interesting day-to-day job whilst they're doing it. That's all I say.
Is that in the job description? Very interesting.
I've not seen the job spec. I've not applied for it.
I've not applied to it. Brilliant, awesome. I did have another question, but I completely distracted myself with that little witty rejoinder. Samir, I mean, what about you? I mean, do you have to go through all this sort of, because I just keep, I always kind of, there's a kind of problem in my head, which is, I think lots of people aren't looking for dating. I think lots of people are just looking to get laid, and this is kind of my. This is my problem, right? In the same way that chat roulette was about chatting, when I went to chat roulette, I saw quite a lot of penises, and there was not a lot of talking.
Validation team.
I suppose Lovestruck, we're in this particular example and point in the conversation, we're in a slightly better place than both of these guys, because I suppose Robyn's putting in the extra effort to maintain a high quality of user base, and Badoo's so big that people almost have to self-regulate themselves. I mean, 2,500 moderators is a lot of moderators, but there's only so much you can do with 200 million users. So at Lovestruck, we can actually say, hey, there's a long sign-up process, because it's a dating site. You want to know how tall that person is. Our women, they want to know how tall you are. You'll lie by, on average, an inch. But you got to put that stuff in there. You got to write a bio. You got to add some pictures. You have to show a sincerity to take part in the dating process. So then there's a barrier for entry. So Lovestruck's £39 a month. That's more than Match. That's more than a lot of our competitors. It doesn't mean you're a good person because you're willing to pay £39 a month. It doesn't mean you're not trying to just get laid. But it's another barrier. So you got to fill in the profile. You got to add the pictures. Then we do verification. It's manual, and we will check your Facebook to say if you are who you say you are. If you're single on there, you'd be surprised how many people will join. Let us verify by Facebook, and they'll say they're married. And then we have a conversation, separated sometimes, usually not. It happens. And then we'll check your Twitters to say, you say you're an interesting person. Let's have a little read of some of your opinions, and we'll check your LinkedIn to see if you do what you say you do. So that's where the manual part comes in. But we don't actually have too much of a problem with people letting us down on the site. Some people lack dating acumen.
So you're saying that the Lovestruck would probably reject a sort of married Nazi Twitter user?
We reject quite a lot of profiles. Right. We don't let selfies on with sunglasses. People in England haven't heard of Badoo. 202 million users. It's because they do it all online, and 99% of companies can't build a brand online. You build a brand offline. You do the above-the-line marketing, but you can't make that ROI work for a company with so many people who aren't paying.
So it almost sounds like a bit of a sort of stupid business to be in lots of ways. I mean, obviously it's highly lucrative at £39 a month, or micropayments on 230 million, or however Dattch decides to find her money. I'm sure.
So much money coming through right now.
But I mean, like you say, I mean, you're not going to get your dedicated, sort of end-to-end users. You're not going to get the sort of, I mean, what's the lifetime value of a customer? And how
Very
do
high.
they stay in? Yeah.
Very high. You got to think of it. Don't think of online dating like it's something different to real life. It's not. Anybody who tells you you find love online, or you're a type of person who needs to find love online, is just a charlatan. It's just real life. How many people do you want to meet in a day? I'd love to meet hundreds, but I can't, because every time I try, people think I'm crazy. I just walk up to somebody in the tube and touch them. It's like, it's just not cool.
Maybe don't start with the touching.
Imagine, when
the touching is a really bad idea.
I'm from Morocco. We touch. All right, it's like kiss on the cheek.
This is where you're going wrong. You could do very well without this.
Really?
Please. Don't touch.
I let myself down. But I'm in all seriousness, online dating is a bolt onto real life. It doesn't replace going out. It doesn't replace meeting friends from friends. It doesn't replace a serendipity factor in life.
Do you not think? I mean, this is where I start to. I've been painfully single now for too long, but.
I'll get you some free credits.
Thank you so much. I might just go and start touching people on the underground. Apparently, that's the way in.
I've been happily single for 2 years.
I think where dating started, 14, 15 years ago, kind of properly, it used to be a massive chore. You used to have to put that much time into it. I don't think you have to put that much time into it if a good dating product is actually frictionless, or as frictionless as it can be. And that's actually where hopefully what we talk about later on with algorithms and what have you, where it does make it actually a lot more seamless, and particularly with the advent of mobile, that, it's not, we're seeing this with so many products, we're seeing this with Badoo, that concept of chore and time sink and, no return is diminishing, which is really interesting. And I think we're just getting to that point now where it's really turning around a corner.
Do you feel there are two extremes? I'm sorry, two extremes. Like, traditional dating model is takes a bit of time, and then there are some sites where I could meet somebody within 2 minutes, and the chances of me falling in love, or
I think
the
that's
act of love.
No, but this I completely see.
Yeah, no, I disagree. I think I personally believe there's a reason online dating didn't work for so long was because it wasn't the right solution. It wasn't. They were charging loads of money. It wasn't accessible. You shouldn't have to spend 45 minutes creating a profile. There are easy ways to do it with beautiful products, completely intuitive. It says who you are. Just because you decide to meet someone in 2 minutes doesn't mean it's someone that's going to be any lower value than if you spend 5 weeks chatting online and meeting them. It's all kind of chance.
So online dating isn't working. It's a growth industry. Billions.
But who loves it? Who loved it? Who proudly said, yeah, I'm a member of Match.com? No one was proud of their dating until things started changing and apps completely changed how people looked at it.
And I do think, I think you're absolutely right. And I do think, this whole concept of, hook-up sites or whatever else it might be. My partner, I met him 13 years ago. I thought it was a one-night stand. And I'm still with him ever since. And I just thought the nature was a bit drunk and all the rest and what have you. Didn't think he wanted to see me again. And we've been together. And ever since. And I don't think you might go into those kind of those situations where you're kind of seeing someone for a few beers and whatever else and a bit of luck. But that can change. That can change. And I think for me this whole topic for tonight is, I don't think algorithms can really predict the likelihood of you finding that person like I found my person. But I do think what it will do, what it does for us in Badoo certainly, and many sites and applications, is that it increases the relevancy of people.
So, I was saying it before, just from a girl perspective, was when we first started being we've only ever had girls on the database, and I was saying girls are terrible at describing themselves on profiles. You said it's kind of the same for guys, but even when you answer those questions, girls always put themselves down on those classifications. It's what's your figure type, and it's probably someone really slim. And they're a bit curvy, and they always undersell, whereas guys typically oversell quite a lot, and just wasn't working. Conversations were terrible. Everyone was hey, winky face, and low reply rate because it was just didn't have any decent information. So just changed it. We just looked at tons of different things that did work well for women, and Pinterest obviously was a big inspiration, and we're right, we'll use images. Like someone's Instagram feed tells you instantly the kind of vibe of the person and what it's going to be like if you go for a coffee. So
and what they eat for breakfast.
And what they eat, but that's important. I want to know that stuff. And I don't want to have to read you saying, oh, I really like to have scrambled eggs. I just want to see it, and then I get how good a cook you are, and it kind of builds a picture. So we used pictures for pretty much all of it.
However, it was a fantastic and fascinating and interesting debate. It only really leaves us to thank Robyn, Dave, and Samir for their time. Thank you so much.